Who's Who in the Zoo? The story of an animal band and their quest for fame and fortune. Who's Who in the Zoo is a singing group, and this is the story of their quest for fame and fortune. Throughout their journey, they learned to be better music makers, and they learned how to get along with one another. But it wasn't always easy. Some think that the lives of famous musicians are fancy and glamorous, but musicians are really just people, or in this case, animals. Who was an owl who loved to sing and was as wise as a young owl could be. He got lots of rest and knew what was best for someone making music independently. He took care of his voice and limited his cheering. He used Etykids earphones to protect his fine hearing. And when it was cold, a scarf, gloves, and a hat. He was friendly and honest and liked being like that. He'd sing with his friend Joanna, the Latina iguana, and the country girl Ellie the cat. Whether ballad or ditty, the owl, reptile, and kitty would know just where the melody's at. They formed a band, and their singing was grand. But when Roscoe set in, that big chocolate lab made them sound truly fab, and better than ever before. They sang in the park until way after dark, and under the stars, a squirrel dude named Stokely, who was hanging out locally, joined in for a couple of tunes. They sang for their fun, alone and together. They sang in the sun and in all kinds of weather. But at each performance, there were jobs to be done. There were gears to be stowed, and that wasn't much fun. But once someone did it, a one beagle crew, he took all of the tickets and checked their sound too. Their roadie named Flagel, his buddy from school, would howl on the double, but that beagle was trouble. As time went on, the crowds got much bigger, and Flagel's antics got worse. They really needed a rigger. So Who then decided that it was time to get a zookeeper to help the band climb. The call went out to some people who knew. Who's Who needs a manager for their motley crew. Many applied, but none seemed quite right. When during a practice one autumn night, in from a studio just down the hall, a plump British hamster did happen to call. "I'm Hendrix," he said, with a grin and a wink. "It seems our guitar cables suffered a kink. Might you have an extra so we may proceed? We would be so grateful indeed." It was then that a gum-chewing rabbit rushed in, with an earpiece and microphone aimed at her chin. "This is Bunny," said Hendrix. "She manages me, and I manage my singers who stray frequently." "You manage singers?" asked Who with surprise, his head tilted left and with widening eyes. "I do," said the hamster. "I run a tight ship. My shows run like clockwork. They're totally hip." And that's how Hendrix the hamster came to manage Who's Who and the zoo. With Hendrix attending to business matters and Bunny in charge of Flagel, the band was free to practice and concentrate on their singing. Hendrix found places for the band to play and got reporters to write about their shows. But best of all, Who was now able to spend his time writing songs. He wrote about feelings he had in his heart, with harmonies giving each singer a part. His song told the stories of kids everywhere, their pleasures and pitfalls and love of stuffed bears. He wrote about cheese, about braces and candy, in songs full of cheer and his sister's friend Mandy. Everything shifted around at that time. They start songs together and stop on a dime. They'd gotten quite good. Yes, the zoo was in step. They performed with pizzas, singing pop with real pep. Invitations to play came from near and from far. Could it be that Owl Who was becoming a star? One thing Who wanted, but hadn't achieved, was for the band to be heard on TV. But more than just one song to play and then go. who wanted the zoo band to have its own show. Joanna was curious, and Stokely was too, why a TV show meant so much to Who. It's not just me wanting to see my own face in everyone's living rooms all over the place. It's so kids everywhere with the video screen can hear what we are singing and know what I mean. When Hendrix heard Who, it got him in gear. He said that TV was a capital idea. We'll make it a series about all of our crew, about each of our songs, and each of our singers. That's what we will do. We will tell all the kids about making a show and how we record music in our studio. Then, because Who had already written lots of great songs, he turned his attention to writing TV shows about the zoo. And did he have stuff to write about? There was time Stokely got shocked by his microphone and fell off the stage. And when Ellie decided that she had to have chicken and waffles and missed the bus in Cleveland. Flagel's adventures alone could take up a whole season of shows. If only Hendrix could get them on TV. Some time went by. They played festival shows, their practice paid off. You know how that goes. They sold their CDs, lots of t-shirts and hats. They won some awards and played with top cats. Until one day, a call came to Hendrix's delight. Would the band do one song on a show called Late Night? It's not what you wanted, said Bunny to Who. But it's a start on TV for Who's Who and the Zoo. But it's past kids' bedtimes, said Who with a pout. What good is TV when we're on past lights out? Practice me amigo, Joanna said confidently. We got to experiment when our best fans can't see. Precisely, my dear, Hendrix said gleefully. Let's do it and see how we sound on TV. So that is what happened. They played just one song on a talk show at night and just got along. And wouldn't you know it, that watching from home was a TV producer who called on the phone. She saw right away that the zoo would delight, that their music was tasty and funny and bright. Hendrix told the TV producer that Who had written a whole series of episodes. She loved his idea about mixing music with the band's story and agreed to help them make one simple Who's Who and the Zoo TV show. Then, when it was done, the band waited to hear if the TV station liked the show and would they make a different one every week. So what do you think? Did Who's Who and the Zoo get their own TV series? Well, that's a story for another day. Get ready for Who's Who and the Zoo Goes to Hollywood.